Hey guys, this is Jeremy. We're at the Butcher's Block. Today we're going to be cutting a chuck roll from denota. We're going to break it down into a couple of different things. I'm going to get a chuck eye. We're going to get some boneless short ribs. We're going to get some beautiful chuck roast out of it. Yeah, so let's get started. To get started getting my chuck eyes out, I'm going to take them down just through this the chuck muscle here, the eye muscle. Take that down just to kind of separate it so I can see what I'm doing. I'm gonna come in here, just kind of peel those eye muscles right out. And we'll use that, we'll get some nice chuck eyes here in a little bit. Then I'm gonna start seaming these out, start separating them, mostly with my hands at first. You don't really need to get a knife in there right off the bat. And then what I'm gonna do is just kind of take out some of this heavy fat. It doesn't really, it's not necessary for cooking. There's so much fat in the chuck roast anyway, but taking this stuff out makes for a much nicer presentation. And when you have such a nice product, that's really what you're trying to do. And then now that I've kind of opened this up, now I can kind of take this big section right here and I can take this out for our boneless short ribs. Some people might call them a Denver steak, depending on how exactly you're gonna cut them, but here I'll sell them as boneless short ribs. So really I just from right about there, and you kind of go on an angle a little bit. You take that off and we'll clean that up in a little bit and we'll have some beautiful boneless short ribs. The other thing I usually like to do on these is this side here. This is mostly, it's neck meat. It doesn't look super awesome on a roast, but it does make great stew meat, so I'll usually take that off. There's also got a big wedge of fat here, so kind of take that whole thing off, and then we'll clean that up too for some nice stew meat. Flip it over, make sure we got this side, you know, pretty clean. Again, just looking for super heavy fat. That's really all I'm trying to take out. And that's pretty much that. So now I'll take the whole thing and we'll tie it up. Make sure everything's nice and even. And some people make fun of me for how many strings I do put on, but really, at the end of the day, it is just a beautiful looking roast when I'm done with it. So then we'll just go, and we're gonna take a face off of here. It's gonna seem like a lot, but again, we can always merchandise this into stew. It makes a fantastic stew meat, better than anything else that you can get from like a round or something like that. Same deal with this end, you know, we'll take that off. We'll make some nice stew out of it. And then too, I always kind of like to try and cut different size roasts. You know, everyone, you know, some people want a big one, some people want a little one. So kind of change it up. Got some really nice roasts right there. We'll come back to the chuck eyes here. A little bit of fat to clean up here, not a lot. Actually, that's really just about it. And then when I do mine, I like to cut them thick. I feel like I do feel they cook up better like that, especially if you're gonna, you know, reverse sear them or something. Cook up really, really nice. And again, I like them to be pushed together because again, the presentation is just so fantastic. So again, we will take a small face. down the middle. Two gorgeous chuck eyes. And then we'll come to our boneless short ribs here. Again, we'll just kind of clean these up just a little bit, just give them a little haircut. You actually want a fair amount of fat on these, you just don't want too much. So really, I'll just go, and again, I'll just split those right down the middle. You got two nice thick pieces of your boneless short rib, and you can break this down. I mean, you know, if they want them smaller, you cut them right in the middle. If you can do chunks, however you want to do it, but those are really nice. And then the last thing we're going to do is just kind of clean up our ends here, and we're going to get a couple of pounds of some really nice stew meat. And really all I'm doing is just taking out you know, any of this really thick gristle and heavy fat. That's all I'm doing here, and separating everything so we can get some nice lean chunks of stew. Alrighty, and that's pretty much your full breakdown of a chuck. So again, just to recap, we have 4 really good sized chuck roasts, and we can break these down even smaller if we want, depending on what the customer wants. 2 nice, thick, gorgeous chuck eye steaks. You know, cook those up just like you would a steak. I like to reverse sear them. Then we also have our boneless short ribs here. Those are fantastic. You can braise them, or again, you can cut them thinner and you can do like a Denver steak, just, you know, grill them, and they cook up really, really nice. And then we have some stew meat here. And this is probably the best stew meat that you can get off the animal. You know, anything from the chuck, it'll just melt in your mouth.